Alrighty folks, coming at you guys today with a version 1.8.3 Heroes tier list. Been pouring through plenty of data on pred.gg, have a ton of notes here with me about win rate, pick rate, ban rate statistics. It's been about a week since the patch came out, so we've got a ton of time to investigate all of the win rate, pick rate, and ban rate statistics. Hop on to pred.gg, I've linked this below. A meta city still also tracks stats very efficiently, but I've been using pred.gg because we have ban rate, and I like these Silver Plus. A lot of my bases have been off Silver Plus, but I have also investigated Gold, Plat, and Diamond specifically. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Know I've been slacking on the Predecessor content recently, just not been playing it as much. I was on a trip recently for multiple days, and also been playing a lot of the new FC26, so have not made State of the Game videos for 1.8. I don't know if I'm going to make one for 1.8.3 because I think it's going to mostly turn into a rant about me complaining about the direction of the game. If you want to see some content like that, discussing the direction of the game, how things have panned out since 1.8, I would highly recommend Tommy Guns put out a video on discussing 1.8 after it came out. This was about 3 weeks ago now. I'll put the thumbnail up here and link it in the description as well, so check that one out, give it a watch. Good discussion. Me and Tommy Guns agree on a lot of things. A lot of good discussion going on in the comments there as well, so find someone in there you agree with or disagree with and talk to them about the direction Pred has been heading. I don't want to go into it too much here because this is just a tier list. Let's get right into it. I want to respect you guys' time. Timestamps below to the final tier list as well if you just want to skip straight to that. Let's go through it. I've defined the tiers a little broader than I did before. I wanted to distinguish it into more tiers and upset less people by putting Rena in the remove from the game tier, although I still hold the opinion that Rena should be removed from the game because she does fundamentally make it less fun. Either way, I've got them defined as S, meta defining, A, always strong, pretty straightforward. B, I've defined this one as B+, because this is high skill ceiling heroes that I would generally consider in the B tier, but have the potential, if someone's really good with them, to perform as an A or an S tier hero. C tier, regularly good value. This is kind of your slightly below average heroes where there may be a better pick than them in a lot of situations, but you're still going to have unique or good consistent value with them. D+ tier, comp dependent. Again, I've put D+ instead of just D because if the comp dictates it, or if your team's willing to play around you on them, you could get really good value with them, but most of the time there's probably a better option to be had. And then F tier, rarely good value. I don't expect to have too many heroes in here, but there are a few heroes that, following some of the nerfs, especially in 1.8.3, are just really rarely good value to have on your team. Let's get right into it. I'm going to go through, like I said, I have a ton of notes here talking about mainly pick rate and win rate statistics, as well as some ban rate stuff. So let's go through a couple of those first, and then we'll dive into the rest of the heroes based on their alphabetical performance. Like I said, come in here and pred.gg, link below. You can argue with me all you want about my opinions on what heroes I think are strong or weak, but you're going to have a hard time arguing that in Silver Plus, Chimera's at this high of a win rate, you know, and this high of a pick rate and ban rate. Like, you can't tell me Chimera's bad. I get it if you're a top 0.1% Paragon player. You may have a different opinion, but come look at pred.gg's numbers, argue with them. They're not going to argue back. Let's get right into it. First one I wanted to mention, of course, like I just alluded to, is Chimera. If you look at Gold, if you look at Plat, if you look at Silver Plus, he's the #1 win rate hero. Even in Diamond and Paragon, he's not far off. I think he's 4th in Diamond right now. Consistently a top win rate hero. The map and the meta of the game, how important objectives are, how small the map is, it all fits perfectly together to make Chimera a meta-defining hero. You have to be ready to counter Chimera. Yes, you play very linearly on Chimera, which is why he does get countered more at high ranks and late into games, but just there's a reason he's always been a good jungler, and it's really because of the current state of the meta, the brawl meta, the weakness of anti-heal, the importance of objectives. Kai fits the bill as a very ideal jungler in almost every situation. Next one I want to talk about that's actually stepped up into a very interesting spot is Greystone. Greystone maintaining a really high win rate in Gold and Silver particularly, still 5th in highest win rate in Plat as well. I think the Overlord buffs really helped him out. Having anti-heal built into his kit with the augment really helps him out. just a solid, strong hero. You don't have CC, but in a meta where people are getting blown up instantly and it's very burst heavy, having his ult to stand in the middle of a team fight, ult, come back out and keep doing damage is really ideal. You can build him tank, you can build him damage. Works either way. I think he's always strong. I don't think he's quite meta defining because he's not a burst or CC hero, which is really where the meta's at, but he is always strong. Next one I want to talk about that's kind of surprising, looking at win rate statistics that stepped up a good bit, is Muriel. Muriel, although I do kind of view her as always strong, I think it's mostly because of the teammates and opponents I play with and against. I'm going to put her in B+ high skill ceiling because if you have a bad Muriel, she's going to essentially be useless to you. But if you have a good Muriel, you're going to know it. She's going to be impacting all these team fights. She's got the universal presence. She swings fights everywhere. She gets to objectives quickly with her ult. And her shields get massive into the late game. Her teammate buffs get massive into the late game. She can make a carry that's not great look incredible. So we're going to put her in B tier. Third highest in Silver-Plat win rate right now. So pretty impressive from Muriel. Didn't expect her to be up in that kind of position. And then the last one I want to discuss based off of their win rate statistics is, at least on the positive side of things, is Wukong. Again, we're going to put Wukong in B tier because if you've got a bad Wukong on your team, he's going to be next to useless. But if you have a good Wukong on your team, he can straight up carry you no matter what. Coming out of solo lane, coming out of jungle, if you have the muscle memory to switch stances and hit all of his abilities, he's got a ton of tools in his belt. And if you're good at making use of them, man, he's a force to be reckoned with, but it is a very small percentage of players who are able to get the full potential on him. But fundamentally a very strong kit for sure. Now on the lower end of the spectrum, we've got Wraith. Wraith receiving nerfs in this last patch, really disappointingly. Why would you reduce the knock-knock range on Wraith? That's one of the things that makes him unique and special and good. Right now, it's just rarely are you finding value on Wraith beyond what you could pick in carry or mid lane over top of him. I just don't really see it. Obviously, if you're super good, you know, I could put him in skill ceiling, high skill ceiling. He is the definition of a high skill ceiling hero. But I think even if you talk to those guys that are really good with him, they're going to tell you, they're going to admit that, hey, I have to work so hard to get Wraith value. I would rather just pick someone else that can compete with him better. So it is what it is. Rest in peace, Wraith players. Bottom win rate at Silver-Plat, bottom win rate at Gold. Third bottom win rate at Plat. So like he's just not, until you get into high diamond elo, very rarely are you ever going to see someone perform well with Wraith. Next up, one that's probably less surprising than Wraith, at least, Terra. Just in a terrible state. Get it, Terra, terrible. She used to be incredibly strong on her initial release, and then they literally nerfed her like 7 times, 5, 6, 7 times in a row. Recently, they've been trying to give some stuff back to her. You notice most of the stuff that they're giving back to her is just reversions of previous nerfs that were way excessive back when she originally got them. Yes, she does counter the CC meta with her ult. Yes, she can bully in solo lane occasionally. But no in-kit healing makes it tough for her to compete. You have to build Mutilator first in solo or in jungle a lot of the times too. A usable hero, but rarely are you going to get good value on her compared to her competition. Next up, one that's performing far below my expectations, 5th lowest win rate in Gold and 4th lowest win rate in Silver-Plat. We're talking about Twin Blast. Now, Twin Blast, like I said, I don't really know why he has that low of a win rate. I view Twin Blast as a regularly good value hero, keeping in mind the carries overall are very tight. There's not too much that separates the worst and best carry here unless you define Wraith as a carry. All of them are pretty viable. I view him as having regularly good value. He's definitely not comp dependent because you can build on him to counter just about any comp, but just underperforming right now, so we got to leave him in C tier. It just is kind of how it is. And then the last two we want to talk about here, as far as underperforming win rate wise, is actually Feng Mao and Yuri, who we're both going to put in B tier because these heroes, Yuri, the 2nd lowest win rate hero at Silver-Plat, and Feng Mao, the 5th. Feng Mao having actually the worst win rate in the game at Plat and Diamond. The thing about these heroes are, like the similar with Wukong and Muriel, you're going to know if you have a good one. If your Fang Mao gets ahead early, gets his passive stacks on, it's GG for the other team. He can come around and delete everybody, basically one comboing everyone with his ult, especially resetting his ult. It gets ridiculous. A spooled up Fang Mao, one of the strongest characters and most oppressive characters in the game, is definitely a spooled up Fang Mao. Yuri, not as strong as she was on release, of course, but still very strong, very high skill ceiling. If you're able to constantly reset those dashes, her damage is very oppressive, her mobility really makes her hard to pin down, and her ult is still a teamfight changer. So, of course, both of these, great mobility. Same thing with Wukong, great mobility, great verticality on all these heroes. So, it's high skill ceiling, inherently, how a 3D MOBA is going to work when heroes have high mobility and high verticality options. You're going to have high skill ceiling. You're going to have heroes that are players that consistently underperform on them and bring these heroes' win rates down, and then players that are top 1% who carry games by themselves. So that's what I've got to discuss for the pick rate statistics. Like I said, hop in here, sort by win rate, sort by or win rate. This is all I'm talking about for win rate statistics. Go into whatever rank you're in, gold plus, plat, whatever it may be. Check the bottom, check the top. Pay attention as well to matches played, because sometimes, that's why I said I waited a week to do this, because sometimes there's not enough matches played and the statistics are very skewed. So that's what I've got to discuss for those. Last thing I want to discuss before we go through the rest of the heroes alphabetically is ban rate and pick rate. Again, come in here, sort by whatever ranks you prefer, and then take a look at ban rate. You can look at top ban rate, bottom ban rate, top pick rate, bottom pick rate. Looking at ban rate plus pick rate combined is what I'm discussing here. Notice in Silver-Plat, Rena, 88.8 ban rate with nearly a 10% pick rate. That means she is almost in 100% of Silver-Plat ranked games. Either she's banned or she's picked. You don't have to take my opinion for it. Look at the statistics. Near 90% ban rate and near 10% pick rate. This hero is showing up in every game or in the draft phase in the bans for a reason. So discussing these, of course, we see Rena, Akron, Yuri here, top ban rates, and basically really high pick rates as well relative to their ban rates. Skylar up here as well, not too surprising. Boris getting banned a lot as well. And then looking at pick rates, we've got Chimera and Sparrow and Murdoch leading the pack. Richter as well, a top performer. So looking at the pick rates and ban rates, these heroes are essentially meta defining. Going from top to bottom, we've got, where's she at? Rena. This is a near 100% ranked, like I just showed the stats for, near 100% ranked participation. Either she's banned or she's picked. That is meta defining. Like that is how you would call something meta defining. You're either seeing her in your draft phase or you're seeing her banned. It's for a good reason. I could make an entire rant video about how overpowered Rena is and how character design like this could lead to the end of a MOBA, or at least a balanced MOBA, and take us straight to hero shooter territory. But we're not going to go through that. Just want to say, same thing as I said last time, she makes the game less fun. You put too many tools in her kit, and there's a reason she's picked or banned in every ranked game. Next up though, Akron. Not surprising to see the new hero on the block still having about 80%, actually a little over 80% right now participation, either in the draft phase or in your matches. I don't necessarily view him as stronger than Chimera, but in the right hands he definitely can be. He got some nerfs in the last patch, but most of the changes were really lateral. They're really adjustments to how he scales. Weaker early game with less base damage on his abilities, and strong late game still with good scaling. He is meta defining. It is what it is. Yuri, I would slide up here into the meta defining because she does have slightly over 70% participation in her ranked games, but she doesn't have an exceptionally high win rate to back it. So while she is meta defining, it's more accurate to call her high skill ceiling because, like I said, just over 70% participation in all of your silver and up ranked games. We've already talked about her, similar to Wukong and Fang Mao, who she's placed beside here. Next one, though, that I want to put up here as meta-defining is actually Skylar. just over 60% participation in ranked games, either banned or picked, combining to 60%. Do I think she's the best carry? I guess you could probably make a pretty good argument for it. She does blend tanks with her beam, which is really nice, and then the beam resets. So the DPS, once the beam is stacked, is probably higher than most other carries can compete with. Burst damage isn't necessarily there, but what carry really has that much more burst damage than her, to be fair? So good mobility, good safety, good long-range ult, not much holding Skylar back, banned in a lot of games, picked in the majority of the rest of them. And then finally, the one who's already setting up here is Chimera. Talking about ban rate and pick rate, he has near 60% ranked participation, whereas Skylar has just over 60%. It just is how it is. Chimera's been so strong for so long. People know how to play him. People know he's a consistently good pick. So that's what I've got for you guys as far as win rate, pick rate, and ban rate statistics discussion. Hop in here to pred.gg. I've linked it below. But like I said, I want to respect your time here, so let's try to burn through the rest of these. These are really the, some key points right now that we're seeing in the meta. Argus. I think high skill ceiling is probably a fair assessment for him. He is a lot better than he was. I think the buffs in 1.8.3 made it to where he can realistically compete in damage output with just about every other mid laner. I'm tempted to actually put him near the bottom of always strong, because you can really get good value with him and compete with just about any mid laner right now, it seems like. Not performing incredibly highly at most ranks, but I think when people get the hang of him, they will. We'll leave him in B tier for now, but I think he's a strong A tier contender. Aurora, I would honestly say comp dependent now. It's kind of hit or miss. I'm favorable towards Aurora. I view Aurora favorably. I think what she brings to the team is very impactful. Very high skill ceiling as well with the Ice Glide. The ult shuts down team fights or forces cleanses, which is quite nice, but the range is kind of limiting on it. The root is impactful. A good tank killer. Just a solid, regularly good value. Probably going to be towards the bottom of C tier. Like I said, she's kind of borderline comp dependent. Boris is always strong. I'm not going to put him in meta-defining, although he is kind of borderline meta-defining. He's just always strong. He's picked frequently. He's banned frequently. He has great healing. He can solo objectives. He's Chimera Jr. He will always be Chimera Jr. But at least he has a cool animation for his ult, right? Countess. I don't know why they reduced the early game cooldown on Countess's Blood Wave in 1.8.3. I don't know how. They nerfed a little bit of her other parts of her kit, but she's still just fundamentally a strong hero. Since she got the blink rather than having to target on an enemy to use her teleport, she's just always going to be strong. You're talking about a Fang Mao with better healing. I mean, I think she's just always going to be strong. Not like a top 5 win rate, hero or anything right now, but I think she's just always strong. Crunch, high skill ceiling. I mean, if you're missing your combos with Crunch, if you're not timing your empowered ability with Crunch, if you're not building properly, Crunch is pretty complicated to build on in most situations. You're not going to get the most out of him, but it can be very oppressive, especially if you get ahead just really weak before level 6. If you're keeping that in mind, you can have great games with Crunch. High skill ceiling is where he's got to be. Decker. Decker's stuns are supposed to be more consistent to hit now. Her cage is still always valuable. She's really not too comp dependent. I'm tempted to lean her towards that if you do not have a tank in jungle or solo lane. Taking any ranged support is going to be hit or miss and could potentially put your team in a bad spot late game if the game goes long. But just regularly good value. The cage is always going to be good value unless they make fundamental changes to it. And realistically, the ult is a high skill cap, high skill shot impact ability. So regularly good value for her. Drongo actually having a quite high win rate right now. The augments are valuable. The silence is valuable. Tempted to put him towards maybe the top of B tier, just to kind of delineate these carries a little bit more. But all carries are really tightly grouped. I mean, I could make an entire separate tier that just says every carry and put every carry in it if I really wanted to, because you can get good value holding left click on anybody, right? So it is what it is. What flavor of left click do you want? If you're good with Drongo, you're good with Drongo. He's impactful right now. 5th in top win rates at Silver Plus. Gadget, good grief, dude. Gadget has felt insane. I'm seeing Gadget more impactful than Greystone realistically. Not a top 5 win rate, but the only mage that is a top 5 win rate is Rena, so what are you going to do? I just think she's incredibly strong right now. It's the only mage that's really able to keep up with Rena's damage into the late game. Good objective secure, good team fights, good range, good safety. Only thing is a very slow start, but by the time the mid game's rolling around, you should be stacked up and doing ridiculous damage with Gadget from a safe position. So maybe it's just my playstyle, maybe it's just the games that I've got recently, but it feels like picking her in ranked games is a big benefit to your team. Gideon, not necessarily high skill ceiling. It's not really how I would define Gideon. You do have to hit his skill shots, but I don't think I would really define him as high skill ceiling for the most part. I would probably put him towards the top of regularly good value. Yes, he is safe. Yes, he has good DPS, short cooldowns now on his abilities. The black hole can still be impactful, but you're just so exposed in a burst heavy meta. You're very exposed. And basically, if you're behind, like if you're 1 or 2 levels and an item behind on the enemy team carry, on the enemy team mid laner, you're never going to be able to black hole over a team fight without getting deleted because you're putting a massive target on your back, whereas Gadget can just drop her dome and get out. So regularly good value, can box well in mid lane and 1v1 other mid laners, especially early, but just not insane. Grim. Grim, I've played a ton of Grim recently. If you've caught any of the streams from the last couple weeks, I've been grinding him to level 7. Finally got him to level 7. I think he's realistically hit or miss. You can have a great game with Grim. You can have a rough game with Grim. Somewhat comp dependent. If your team takes all magical, man, Grim is a really tough pick. But at the same time, you can... I'm just going to leave him in comp dependent because you can regularly get good value with him, but it's only about 70-80% of games that I play with him where I'm saying, wow, I'm getting better value with him than I would with some physical carry. You know, he doesn't bring anything too crazy to the table. Yes, hitting the ult resets is very satisfying, but it's easily countered. Steel can drop a wall. The support can jump in front of the orb. It's very predictable. Yin can deflect it. It's not insane, comp dependent. Still fun to play though. If you like Grim, don't let me discourage you. Pick up Grim. Like I said, carries are really hard to place here because they're all so close. Grux, not performing as you would think Grux performs. 3rd lowest win rate in Diamond. He's okay. Probably going to be towards the bottom of C tier for me. Just very linear, very overpowered in the 1v1 brawls with how anti-heal is balanced right now. But not too complex. Not like these new heroes like Akron where they're putting 6 effects on every one of his abilities, or Rena the same way. Doesn't really compete on that level. Doesn't have the mobility that you really need to perform at a high level most of the time. Just runs at people and smashes them and does overpowered amounts of damage with overpowered amounts of healing. Not as good as he has been. Just decent. See if there's anybody else I want to mention here. No, we haven't covered most of these yet. Howie. I think Howie is near the Gadget range of mid laners. Very impactful. 2nd highest win rate in Plat right now. Just good range, good damage output, huge burst in a burst heavy meta, good safety if you get the ult off and time it well. Just a fun hero to play, strong mid laner. Iggy, kind of same way. At some ranks not performing as well, but 3rd highest win rate in Diamond for good reason. The Molotov augment has stepped into a really good spot. You can stack up huge damage with it into the late game. Highly recommend picking that over the turret augment because the turrets go down so fast. Got turret cooldown buffs in 1.8.3. Feels a lot more usable with better turret uptime now. Still contest objectives really well. Still zones really well. Can still deal top damage just like a late game Gadget can. So it is what it is. A fun hero. A very unique hero. If you like Iggy, you like Iggy. If you hate Iggy, go watch Penzo. Kallari, kind of an interesting one because similar to Iggy, some ranks will have a really high win rate, some ranks will have a really low win rate. I think Kallari is kind of the definition of a high skill ceiling hero. Almost really more comp dependent, if anything. Not going to fall into F tier for me because I have been seeing a lot of Kallaris do well. I think comp dependent really fits the bill on Kallari better than high skill ceiling. Keep in mind this is D+, just like this is B+. So Grim and Kallari you can both carry games with hard, but it is kind of comp dependent. If your team, like I said, have nobody that's going to support you on Fangtooth, you don't have a tank solo laner to look for minis, you don't have a tank support, it's going to get rough because Kallari's not soloing Fangtooth or anything like that. But you can invade well, you have good maneuverability, you have good escape, you have good burst. You can execute squishies, but if they only have 1 or 2 soft targets on their team and they're pretty bulky and bruisery, you're going to have a hard time getting those assassinations off. So comp dependent, I think, is where Kallari's got to sit for me. Kira just seems always strong. More of a high skill ceiling type carry because you do have to hit her skill shot. You've got a time when you're going to use the cleanse. The ult is really bad in 90% of situations and pretty decent in 10% of situations. So if you're able to find those patterns, you can get a lot of use out of her. Still my go-to carry if I need to hard carry a game because you have great multi-kill potential, probably the best multi-kill potential of any carry. I can't really put her over Howie though, so always strong but not, all the carries are tight, so what are you going to do? Quang, I don't think he's in as good of a spot as he has been, but he's still decent. I'm going to say top probably of regularly good value. He is kind of high skill ceiling type of hero because you have to hit those tethers. Actually, yeah, I kind of like him. I kind of like him up here. I kind of like him up here with Crunch because you can swing games with a Quang if you get stacked up and you're hitting your tethers. I've definitely been oppressed many times by a Quang in solo lane or the sneaky, really accurate Quang coming out of jungle. So high skill ceiling type hero, still strong, build full health, you'll go crazy with him with World Breaker. Belica, this is a kind of hit or miss type hero, right? Fundamentally always strong, but at some ranks underperforming. Actually second lowest win rate in Diamond right now, which is kind of surprising. Probably because if you're playing Belica in Diamond, you're getting targeted really hard. But a decent hero. I'm going to say that she's always strong. I think she is always strong. Brings a lot to the table. Really strong late game. But just not as blatantly the best mid laner ever that she has been in the past. Still fun to play and carry as well. Morgesh, I think out of disrespect for her, we've got to put her down here with Grux. Same things. These are heroes that if they balanced anti-heal properly would be non-existent in the meta. They would be complete trash F tier. But since they refuse to balance anti-heal properly, you can still get a Grux or a Morgesh that's ahead and that's running through the team and getting pentakills and is completely unkillable because she built 3 lifesteal items. Yada yada yada. It's gross. You get regularly good value on her. Realistically, she should be in the always strong, high skill ceiling range, but I just have no respect for the concept of Grux and Morgesh where they have a really bad kit on paper, but their healing is just so overpowered when you build lifesteal items that it makes them broken. Morn, still always strong. He got nerfs. He's really not even that high skill ceiling. I mean, there is a high skill ceiling on him, but he's not really that high skill dependent. I think after the nerfs, he's still good. I kind of like that ordering a little bit better. Just, a group mez is incredibly impactful. Universal presence or universal impact with his augment on his ult is really nice. Applies healing and anti-heal to the entire enemy team. Applies buffs and debuffs to the entire your team and enemy team. So quite nice, just a really strong support still. Good healing, good in solo lane too. Murdoch, just regularly good value, man. I thought he was going to step into a little bit of a stronger spot potentially after his last round of buffs, but they just kind of put him back up to where he needed to be to compete with Twin Blast and stuff. All the carries are so tight. that it's really hard to distinguish him. Like I've said, he brings his own unique stuff to the table with the move speed boost and the ult, but just regularly good value. Narb, I feel like Narb is pretty much always strong. Actually, he's really high skill ceiling is really the better way to define Narb, because there are certain ranks, like in Flat, he's the second lowest win rate hero, but regularly at the high ranks, he's a super high win rate hero. He's in times in the past been the #1 win rate hero at like Paragon level, just because the amount that he buffs your team is crazy. He got buffs as well in 1.8.3, which make him feel even better. Playable as Enchanter Narb, playable as Tank Narb, both quite good if you're good with him. Hit your thunks, speed your team up, and just absolutely cook in team fights if you play around a Narb. Man, Narb's so impactful late game, it's ridiculous. Probably deserves to be higher up than Muriel realistically in the high skill ceiling as far as supports go, because he will swing team fights with the amount of healing that he's giving out. FaZe, don't play her. Moving on. No, I'm kidding. Truly though, FaZe, she did get buffs. She got mana cost reduction and then some lateral changes on when she can pull allies. I don't think she's that good. Rarely are you ever going to, keyword rarely, are you going to ever see a FaZe who's getting your team better value than you can get with somebody like Decker, who's got a ranged stun, or any of the tank supports like Morn, Narb, Rick. You're just not, she just doesn't have it, man. She doesn't have it. It's not a great hero. She needs some sort of rework fundamentally. Not like Terra, who can be strong if they just change some numbers. FaZe needs some sort of rework or some sort of extra ability added to one of her, extra effect added to one of her abilities or something. Just not great. I don't know if she's actually worse than Terra. These heroes are really close right here, though. Ramp, very comp dependent. Man, they keep nerfing the hound out of Ramp. I can't believe they nerf him 3 times they nerf him multiple times in a row like this. It's has been 3 nerfs in a row, and he's still a very high win rate in Diamond, surprisingly, but it's because of comp dependent. If your team's not willing to play around you on Ramp, or play around whether you're big Ramp or tiny Ramp, it's just hard to really get more out of him than you can a Boris or Chimera, man. The nerfs hurt him. The nerfs have hurt him. It just is what it is. Rev, I think, is also kind of comp dependent. I wouldn't say as good regularly as Ramp in the right comp, but in the right comp, Rev can be very good. He's really more high skill ceiling than comp dependent, if anything, because if you're hitting every single auto on Rev, you are doing well DPS wise. It's multiple items in before you can even approach Twin Blast constant DPS. In a 1v1, Twin Blast should win that every time. Even if you're hitting every 4th auto, you know, it's rough, unless you build like Imperator first item or whatever. So, comp dependent on Rev. If you're good with him, keep playing him, man, for sure, keep playing him, because it's fun. It's good to see it's fun to see a good Rev, I should say. Rick, incredibly impactful. Got to go up here as always strong with Morn. Even if you're not hitting that many pulls, the 1 or 2 pulls that you hit in key moments can decide team fights, can decide games. Catching 2 or 3 people in his ult can decide a team fight. Has good sustain. A little surprisingly squishy early because he doesn't have great healing options unless you take the healing augment. And you really don't want to. Most of the time you like to take the pull augment or something. So, good, fun, high damage, playable in solo, playable in jungle. Just an always strong, always will be. As long as you have a skill gap as like hitting that pull, he's always going to have that impact in his back pocket. You know, even if you're not hitting the pulls, they're scared of you and respecting you for the pulls. Sereth, regularly good value. Deserves to be banned in a lot of ranked games just in case you come against somebody who's really good and practice with her, but I don't think she's really like high skill ceiling. Like, it's really simple what you're trying to do with Sereth. And I don't think she's always strong. Usually quite strong, though. You can build her poorly and have a less impactful game on her, so I'm going to put her up here at the top of regularly good value. When I go through here at the end, I may move her up. She may slide up there, actually. We'll see. Sevrog, You could call him comp dependent is probably what seems fair. I would say you do regularly get good value with him. It's just kind of later into the game before you get that good value. Now into the late game, you're going to get value with Sev because he's going to be the hardest hero in the game to take down, bar none. Good ult too. I mean, a good kit, good healing, good passive. They keep nerfing his passive, unfortunately. That's why he's kind of the lower end of regularly good value. Only outpacing Rux and Morgash because of my disrespect for them. But a solid hero. Just still the tankiest hero in the game late, so that's quite fun to play as. Shinbi. Always strong, man. For sure, always strong. Fits a very similar niche to Greystone. Fits a very similar niche to Greystone that you do good damage. You have an impactful ult for either 1v1s or team fights, but you lack CC. She stepped into a really good spot here recently. 5th highest win rate in gold. And performing pretty well everywhere realistically. I'm going to probably do a Shinbi spreadsheet revisit because she has been very popular in the meta recently and I've got requests for that. So look for that coming soon. Shinbi, a solid hero. Just a fun hero, good split pusher, good mobility, good team fights. In most of the high ranks, she deserves to be banned realistically because of what she can bring to the table if you're good with her. Sparrow, I think always good value is kind of obvious on Sparrow, right? She's borderline meta defining just because of the ult, but you're not going to see her in as many games as you're going to see Skylar. We'll put her right next to Kira. It's very neck and neck. Sparrow's ult can just decide team fights, so that's something you always have to play around. Other than that, like I've been saying, carries are so tightly balanced, what are you going to do? Steel, while I view Steel as always strong, 5th lowest win rate at Diamond is not encouraging for Steel. I'm going to actually slide him here, although he is a Mickey Mouse type character, and yes, you can smash all your buttons and get good value with him. I'm going to put him actually up here towards the top of high skill ceiling because it is easy to make Steel look easy. It is harder to actually get everything off as Steel executed in the right order and land everything perfectly to have that incredibly impactful Steel game. We've seen JMO do it plenty of times. I've played against plenty of Steels that are always on the ball with the shield, always on the ball with the ult, sliding specifically to immune CC with his unstoppable augment. You've got to execute a lot of stuff in the right order to get good value with them, and when you do, it feels like oppressively unstoppable. But borderline always strong. You could sneak him into the always strong tier for sure. Faye, man. My boy, what have they done to my boy? Gonna slide Faye at the bottom of high skill ceiling. For me, I hate to say it, but she's just been power crept. She got power crept by Rena. She got power crept by Yuri. The entire meta got power crept by Akron, Rena, and Yuri. Just doesn't compete in the type of meta that we're in as far as huge burst damage with Howie, nor does she have the range of a gadget, nor does she have the healing of a Countess in mid lane, or the silence that Belica has with her ult, and consistent auto attack damage. So it's tough. She doesn't really compete with a lot of these stronger mid laners, but if you're good with her, there's a reason I'm putting her in high skill ceiling. She was previously the definition of how to have skill expression in mid lane, and now, because of tuning and reasons and skill expression being deadened to a certain point, no matter how good you are with her, you got to work extra hard to compete with some of these top tier picks. Yin, on the other hand, stepping into a really good spot. Got some adjustments recently, but still 4th highest win rate in gold, as well as performing quite well at multiple other ranks. You do have to be fairly decent with her, but I think she's still kind of always good value. The amount of things, we'll put her right here beside Sparrow because of how hard she counters the Sparrow ult. The amount of things you can counter with her ult, her great mobility and stuff like that, is quite nice. Not as hard to use either as somebody like Wukong. Feng Mao, relatively, you got to play Feng Mao near the limit. You got to play Yin near the limit too, but her passive and her ult make that more forgiving. Just a consistently strong hero right now. Great tank killer as well. Zarus, 4th lowest win rate at Plat. You occasionally will see Zars have good games. You do regularly get decent value with him. I think I'm going to put him top of comp dependent because a lot of the times his ult will burn blinks. And if you don't have a comp where you have someone else that can follow up on burned blinks, or you're not in comms discussing this kind of stuff, it's going to be hard because most of the time you're ulting someone, if they've got their blink, they're blinking out. And if you don't have, like I said, if you don't have a Kalari to get around behind him and execute that person who's missing their blink, if you don't have the Grux to run at somebody, or the Boris to sniff and run down somebody who's missing their blink, a lot of times the Zarus isn't going to get great value. Still scales well into the late game, especially if you're building like Ordis and stacking his ult, passive stacks and stuff like that. But kind of comp dependent, realistically regularly good value, but doesn't compete at the top tier with most solo laners or junglers in what he's capable of until the late game, and then you're in a good spot, right? Zinx got some adjustments here recently. I think she can feel oppressive. I don't think she's as good as Muriel, but she is high skill ceiling if you're timing her heals correctly. I think comp dependent is probably where she should set for me, just because you can be the best healer in the game. You can revive your carry 10 times in a match. If your carry is still behind after getting revived all those times, it doesn't matter if you revive them, they're just going to get deleted. So it's kind of not necessarily comp as in hero comp dependent, but player comp dependent. If you're the best player on your team as a Zinx, how much value out of the revive are you getting? You got to have somebody good, you got to have somebody big like a Sev or a Ramp or a Kai who's going off to revive and get him back in the fight, or you've got to rescue your Gadget who's one hit, let her come back in and put damage on people. Rescue your Narbash so he can come back in and start healing. If you don't have that, it makes it tough to get good value out of her for sure. So I'm going to say comp dependent. So that's what I've got for the tier list. Let's go through it real quick to see if I want to move anybody. I know this is going kind of long. I think they're definitely meta-defining right now. Skylar's kind of a stretch as far as meta-defining. Yuri could definitely be up here as well. But Skylar is, like I said, over 60% representation in bans or picks. Gadget, I think, is fair to be up here. Greystone, I don't really view Greystone as strong as Shinbi, but he does have second highest win rate in the game at Silver-Plat. Howie quite strong. Yep. Count, man, is still just fundamentally so strong. Sparrow, Yin counter Sparrow hard. Kira, I love hard carrying with. Great mobility as a carry. Iggy, great objective secure. Bellica, pretty much neck and neck. Drongo, high skill ceiling, just to put him somewhere, he's really not that high skill ceiling. No carry is. Anything he could switch places with Kira, but maybe he should. Maybe realistically we should put him dead bottom of A tier and then Kira top of B tier. I think that's actually probably more fair to say that Kira is high skill ceiling and Drongo is more of kind of always strong right now. Steel, again, you can move him to always strong. Wukong Yuri, Feng Mao, very skill dependent. Narb, the best healer in the game. Muriel, surprisingly high win rates, third highest win rate in Silver-Plat right now. Quang Crunch, Argus, Faye, I kind of like this. Faye could actually slide down some, but I just liked Faye too much. You guys have to get over it. Seraph, regularly good value, yeah, I would say for sure. Not really that high a skill ceiling, just kind of regularly good value. Donk the same way. Aurora, maybe kind of a stretch up here, but I still think you regularly get good value with her. Sev, yeah, Grux Mori, please fix anti-heal so I don't have to complain about these heroes anymore. And it's fine. Punish the team that doesn't build anti-heal. Reward the team that does build anti-heal. Crazy concept, right? Let me, if I don't build anti-heal against these heroes, get destroyed. Let them run a pentakill through our team if nobody builds anti-heal. But if 2 or 3 people are building anti-heal and we can't stop these guys from full healing, it's a balance issue. Comp dependent. Zaris may be kind of a stretch. He's kind of closer to regularly good value, I think. But it's still, like I said, he's a blink burner. Ramp just nerfed into the ground. Rev, you got to be exceptionally good with. Grim is definitely comp dependent. Kalari comp, yeah, this is kind of the definition of comp dependent here for the most part. And then rarely good value, Wraith, Terra, Phase. Hard to get good value with any of those three, let's be honest. It's clearly lower performers as well as far as win rates. So I'll zoom out here and make sure the whole thing's fit on the screen well. Thanks everybody for stopping by and check this out. Let me know your thoughts on this tier list. Where did I get it right? Where did I get it wrong? Where do our opinions differ? Go over to pred.gg, linked in the description. Check out the win rate, pick rate, ban rate statistics for yourself. Look at each rank specifically, wherever you want to look at. Check out, like I said at the beginning of the video, Tommy Guns. I'll link his 1.8 discussion video from a couple weeks ago in the description. What do you guys think about Pred, man? Is Pred a game for you anymore? It's not the Paragon that I fell in love with back in 2017, 2018, that's for sure. While it is a fun game, it's hard to call it a MOBA anymore because of the way it's balanced. I don't want to go into a rant video right now about it, but just let me know your thoughts in the comments. We'll catch you guys in the live streams. Come hang out with us, talk about Pred, watch us run some games, hang out with the goons, do some troll builds, whatever it may be. Or come check out the FC26 content. Been loving FC26. Been a lot more consistently fun than Pred has for me, just because this isn't the balance for me. This isn't the meta for me. I don't like hero shooters. That's why I don't play Overwatch or Rivals or whatever. So it's tough for me, man. Hopefully the new map that they're cooking up is going to be a heater. Hopefully they just bring back Legacy. Hey, just an idea. It's not we had the highest player base we've had in the last year was when Legacy was out. I don't know. I guess the queue times were too bad. We'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for stopping by and keep enjoying Pred, folks. Just keep enjoying Pred.